It's Red Eye Radio. Talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios. For Gary McNamara and Eric Harley, Dan Mandis, this is Red Eye Radio.
866-90 Red Eye is the phone number, 866-907-3339. The return of who I not so affectionately call Cringe Jean-Pierre is coming up. I think it's fascinating how believe it or not, there's some people in the mainstream media, and clearly some influencers as well, who are trying to hold her accountable. So we are going to talk about that and a whole lot more straight ahead. I did put out a question, which I rarely do, but when I do, it's usually when I stumble into it. And what we were talking about in the previous hour was life as conservatives in a Democrat city or state like the state of California. And I said, if you want to call and give me your experiences, let me know. Now, this is Jess calling from line 2. He is in Artesia, California. Line 2. Again, Jess, thanks for calling Red Eye Radio.
Hi, thanks for accepting my call. How are you been?
I'm good, man. So how's life in Artesia?
The city of Artesia is a good community. I think it tends to be more a conservative area. I live with the roommates, so they're more conservative. Luckily, I found them, and I've been living with them for since 2018. But to the subject about how's life in California, like the most bluest state, as for a conservative myself, it's really intense because you have your own opinion and you already see the logic on how things are. And yet you see a bunch of people protesting and a bunch of nonsense that doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, even at a workplace, there's some jobs you have to keep it to yourself or else you'd be a target. You know, they try to do anything to get you in trouble or get you fired. And I also have experienced that before. And ever since, I told my landlord about it, and she told me, like, you know, Jess, you just got to basically be undercover and just keep things to yourself if you want peace in your mind.
Yeah, and you know what? That's a shame, Jess, because I'd be willing to bet, and I'm going to ask you a follow-up question, but I'd be willing to bet that if you encountered a person on the left, you wouldn't try to get them fired. You would probably, if you so desired, engage them in a conversation. But you understand as a conservative that we have a right to our opinion and to speak freely. And it's a shame that you have to be undercover.
Yeah. You know, and the thing is, it's like, I wouldn't mind hanging out or hear their opinion and not get offended. But it's like they wouldn't do the same thing for me. They'll actually attack me. They'll attack me. And, you know, they'll find like the most piteous thing. Oh, well, you did this 6 months ago. You did that. Like, so therefore, we're gonna get rid of you. So
hey, Jess, you said that you live with roommates, right? So I don't know if that means that you're single, but have you tried dating in California where you're a conservative and I bet the majority of the women.
Oh my gosh, you just had to ask that question. Oh man, yeah, I have. Last year actually got dumped, I think, because you figure out that I'm a conservative, you know, and from there too, I gotta keep, like, they judge you. They're like, oh yeah, no, this guy, yeah, it's really tough.
I think I've been married for a long time, but isn't there conservative? How do you say, like dating apps or websites or whatever, like where they focus on, you know, conservatives being able to find each other?
You know, I really don't go to dating sites anymore. I tried that a long time ago during the pandemic, so I just pretty much just got used to being by myself. You know, if I encounter another person in person, and you know, then I'd rather be that way, you know, because I don't want to waste time.
Yeah.
trying to look for someone, So ever since that last breakup I went through, oh man, it really hit me. It took me like 6 months to get over it, but I'm fine now. So because I'm working and I even have 4 jobs, four
Oh, there
jobs
you
just
go.
to keep myself stable. Yeah,
Listen, you have 4 jobs. You don't have, a relationship where you're wasting all your money going out to eat and all that other kind of stuff. You work on you, Jess.
yeah.
All right, man. Thanks for calling in. Julie is on line 1 in Illinois on Red Eye Radio. Julie, how are you?
Hello, good, thank you. Great topic, by the way. Being a conservative here in Chicago is infuriating. And like your previous caller just said, he kind of keeps it to himself. I've been the same way, although I've been a little more vocal. But like another caller said, we have a lot of stupid people here in Chicago. It just absolutely amazes me because not only do we have a $1 billion budget shortfall with the city, when our Mayor Johnson, who I like to call Mayor 6% because he has a 6.6% approval rating, spent Mayor 6%. He spent $650 million on the migrants here, and we've got a $1 billion budget shortfall. Our Chicago public school system has a $750 million budget shortfall. Our county has a budget shortfall, and that's just on the financial side. The violence here is out of control. I grew up in the city, not a suburb. I grew up on the south side of the city, which has always been the rougher side, so I'm no stranger to violence. But violence used to be confined to certain parts of the city. No more. It is everywhere. I live in a nice neighborhood. I have $1 million homes around me. Doesn't get you anything that what you pay in property taxes. Let's see. Last summer, when I wasn't home, there were 3 migrants in my yard from the migrant shelter that was a block away and a half away from my house.
Oh.
Luckily, my neighbors were home, and they were sitting on their roof deck, and they heard some commotion, and they looked over in my yard and started yelling at them, and they ran away. And the neighbor across the alley from me, she has a video camera in the alley, so I have footage of them, hopping over my 6-foot fence, and, who knows what they were going to do. What if I were outside with my dogs? What if I was in the summer, I leave my back door open so my dogs can come and go. What if they just walked in?
Yeah.
I kind of shudder to think what could have been done to me. A month ago, someone tried breaking into the back of my house. My door is all screwed up. Just this past Monday, my neighbor, the same one on the roof deck, got into her car in the garage, opened the garage door, and a masked man came into the garage with gloves on and started rummaging through stuff. She got out of the car, started yelling at him. I probably would have just driven off. My husband, who gets up at 4 or 5 in the morning and takes the dogs for a walk, last night there was a guy walking up and down the street checking all of the car doors. It's bad. And you hear all of the murders because, of course, we're very famous for our murder rates here. But this crap happens every day. I left out a ladder in my mom's yard. I forgot to put it back. It was stolen, gone. It's just...
Well, Julie, let me ask you this question, and I should have asked Jess there in Artesia, but so what keeps you in Chicago? I mean, is there another place you could go?
My mom is elderly, and I take care of her, and she doesn't want to move anywhere. So that's pretty much keeping me here. But I'll tell you, I'm already, and I have been thinking about where I would move to because it's so bad. The taxes here, we're taxed till kingdom come. The roads are bad. I mean, city services are bad. It's just, and I'm engaged in my community. I'm not one of these people that sits there on the socials and complains about everything. I've been involved in my neighborhood association for 23 years. I've always been engaged with the alderman of my ward. A former alderman is now a dear friend of mine because I used to always participate in a lot of his activities, get to know people in the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. I helped form a safety committee in my neighborhood. So I'm out here trying to make a difference, but I come across just a lot of stupid people who don't get it. And I don't know how that can ever change. I think that we really have to start with our kids, and they have to learn some civics lessons in school. And they're not getting the basics. Teachers are Chicago Public Schools, if you don't know, 65% of elementary school children cannot read or do math at grade level.
Yet, I will tell you this, and Julie, I appreciate the call. I feel like we could go on all night with the problems of Chicago. But, you know, when you talk about the kids, and this is generational. You know, that's why I was so heartbroken. I don't know if you folks remember. Follow me on X at Dan Mandis Show. I posted a video, not to keep going back to the well of the No Kings protest, but did you see the video of a little kid who had like a knife and some sort of a bat, and he was stabbing and beating this Donald Trump is like a piñata, whatever you want to say, an effigy, whatever you want to say. But it's like, you know, Trump's like a piñata. And the kid is like stabbing this Donald Trump piñata, if you will. And you think about it, and I posed this question to my Nashville audience, is like, do you think that this kid is going to grow up well-adjusted with all of this hate that is being infused in this child? It is absolutely heartbreaking. And the other thing, and I don't know where that was, and the other thing to, add to her fire, Julie's fire, there was that teacher. Turns out there was a teacher and we, again, talked about this last night, where during the No Kings protest in Chicago, there was an elementary teacher. You're just talking about the elementary schools and how bad they are. Elementary school teacher had a little finger gun, and she was firing it at her neck, mocking the death of Charlie Kirk. Now, I don't know if she's been fired or not. I know that there were people trying to figure out a way to fire her. But bottom line is, yeah, it is difficult to live in these kinds of environments. George is in Long Beach, California. George, you anywhere near Zimino? Line 3, George? Oh, George is, you know what? He probably got confused. Zimino, for you folks who don't know, I used to live in Long Beach on Zimino, and Zimino, Ximeno, I think it is. And I wanted to blow George's mind by throwing down Zimino, which is a great street there in Long Beach. And when I lived in Long Beach, I absolutely loved it. I don't know how Long Beach is doing these days, though. The phone number, by the way, 866-90-RED-EYE, 866-907-3339. Dan Mandis in for Gary and Eric. This is Red Eye Radio.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Owner-operator Mike Nichols is leased to Wayne Transports, pulling in their dry bulk division today after decades in business for himself. Speaking to Overdrive's Todd Dills recently, Nichols offered a word of advice to any company driver planning to make the switch to running as an owner-operator, unless you've got access to family money or otherwise independently wealthy, he noted.
As a company driver, you need to be thinking about startup capital and down payment, and I would just say that you need to treat that like you would firewood. Save what you think you might need and then triple it, if not quadruple it. And you'll be thankful that you did.
You'll be glad you did. That is, not just given favorable loan terms with a good down payment. Inevitably with trucking, you'll get hit with a breakdown and huge repair bill, or another of those unforeseen events. You'll need that reserve cash to cover it and avoid taking on debt or going out of business. Hear more from Overdrive's 2024 Trucker of the Year contenders at overdriveonline.com/PIB.
Brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
Red Eye Radio, 866-90-RED-EYE is the phone number, 866-907-3339. All right, George in Long Beach is back with us. George, go ahead.
Hey, Dan. Hey, I enjoy the show. Now and then I catch you out here in Long Beach. You fill in for somebody. So that's pretty cool. A lot of things have changed out here in L.A. Like, there's a few conservative radio stations that you can catch. There used to be, there was sports or what have you, or every station out here is like liberal and, just bash Trump any way they can. So I always appreciate having you and a few other radio personalities out here in LA. That's pretty cool. But I wanted to tell you about Long Beach. I work in Long Beach. I live in Long Beach. I work in Long Beach. And like right at the border of Long Beach and like Orange County. So I'm like almost to like close to Huntington Beach, where it's like conservative over there, I guess. A lot of Trump support. But like my area, the end of Long Beach, there's a lot of Trump support there too, in some kind of way. So my job, when I'm like deep in Long Beach, where it's like pure liberals, mostly liberal Democrats, and I make it known in my job. I mean, my truck had a Trump sticker on there, my Tahoe. People know that I'm a Trump supporter, and there's a few people that came out and said, "Hey, yeah, Trump, like let's go, yes." And so I work in medical facility. And some people, like, we start talking, like, maybe I'll talk with a fellow conservative or even another, like, Democrat. And, we'll have a, amicable conversation. And there's people that, like, just get triggered. And I've seen, there's, like, 2-3 instances, different employees, like, literally, like, nurses. They start, like, blowing a gasket. And they start, like fuming. And you can see, like, smoke coming out of their ears. And I'm just having a civil conversation with one of my coworkers.
Yeah.
And they just like lose it, and they literally gotta walk away and get mad and get heated. I'm just like, we're just talking about like local politics, even like in California, like whether it's Newsom or the mayor out here or what have you, and they just can't handle it.
George, do you worry that this is a real thing? This is a real fear that you could get hauled in front of human resources?
No, you know what? I've been made it known for like more than a year at least, actually longer probably, some years, and nothing's ever happened really. I do work the night shift, so there's less bosses, less managers, that kind of stuff. So it's and then I find out one of the nurses, she loses it, right? Like she almost started to cry, and another nurse had to like hug her. And I was like, what? Even the other guy's like, hey, we're just talking. You and I, it's nothing to do with her.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
She's from Oregon. I don't know what part of Oregon, but she's from Oregon. Was it Oregon? Portland, Oregon? It might have been Seattle. But, I mean, those are
the same thing.
States. And so I'm really thankful that my kids go to, like, the Orange County district school, because I'm, like, right at the border. I was able to get them into, like, one of the Orange County district schools.
Nice.
And like it's very conservative. There's a lot of Trump support. They love it. There's still, of course, some Democrat liberals and stuff, but it's very more right leaning. So I totally appreciate that. And I'm so glad my kids were able to get into that school. And I moved from one side of Long Beach to another, so it was closer to that side. And I was able to get them into one of those more conservative schools. And if I would have stayed where I was before, there's just no way. It would have just been full-blown, Democrat. Who knows what would have happened?
Well, George, here's and I appreciate the call. Here's what I would say to you is, number one, I love what I'm hearing, that you are able to, as best as they'll allow, have conversations with these, Democrats. But number two is that you worked really hard to get your kids into a better school district. And I could tell, George, that you are a very, very good dad. And I love that. Call again.
Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios. Now, for Gary McNamara and Eric Harley, here is Dan Mandis.
Phone numbers 866-90-RED-EYE, 866-907-3339. Mark is calling from Los Angeles, by the way, real quick, talking to conservatives who live in these left-leaning bastions like California. We've had calls from California. We've had calls from Illinois as well. And Mark is calling from Los Angeles. Hey, Mark, go ahead.
Hey, Dan, how you doing?
I'm all right.
Just to let you know, there's a lot of Trump support out here, believe me. But where do you want to begin? I don't know if you have a long enough show. I mean, California is it's Newsom. And I'll give you an example. You know, if a teller, a bank teller, is $1 short at the end of the day, they'll probably can her, right? A day, maybe two. She's 2 days, and she's $1 short on her tally, whatever. They'll get rid of her. Newsom's $40 or $50 million in the hole from COVID. It disappeared, and then he's got $200 billion for the bullet train to nowhere. They don't know where the money is for that, and they got the homeless thing, another $200 billion for that, and there's no accountability. And these people are that stupid that they can't see this? I mean, really?
Hey, Mark, if I may, let me ask: Is he just a bad leader, bad legislator, or is it that he's corrupt?
He's corrupt.
Okay.
He's corrupt. He bought a $10 or $12 million home that they're supposedly investigating it, and he's got let's say a $200,000 salary. And the property taxes are about $10,000 to $12,000 a month. Where's he getting money from?
Yeah,
there's so much corruption. It's pathetic. It really is. I mean, it's obvious to people with half a brain, but the corruption is just absolutely crazy. Now they want to add $300 million to a convention center downtown LA. There's no money. The state's broke, and they say we want to do that for the Olympics, and they'll finish it in 2032. In my math, the Olympics start in 2028, right? And they're going to finish in 2032. You see anything wrong with that? Everything. They do that with everything, Dan. Well, he got caught with his pants down in the French Laundry.
Oh, he sure did. And, of course, you've got that the train line. They call it a boondoggle. The train line we're said to – is it Bakersfield?
Yeah, it's the bullet train to nowhere. They haven't built a foot of track yet, and there's $200 billion, whatever, gone. And they don't know where it is, but that's just And then there was a $100 million concert for the fire victims, and they don't know where that money is.
Isn't that's got to be so infuriating? All right, so Mark, and none of this is a surprise to me. And in case folks don't know, I'm from L.A. Lived there, childhood, a good part of my adult life, but. Is there a reason you don't leave? Do you have ties there?
Oh no, I've been in LA. I grew up and was in the garment industry for years downtown LA. It's gone, but I went down the last 9 years down in Palm Desert. I stayed there, and it's a whole different world when you get out of LA. But I came back here to help my buddy with his house, and what an armpit! I mean, everything. I mean, I have to glue my teeth in every day when I'm driving down the street over here because in the last 25 years, they haven't done any improvements to anything in L.A. Nothing.
Oh,
nothing.
And it's crazy. Mark, I appreciate the call very much, and I appreciate everybody calling with their experiences. It is interesting. I've been all over the country, right? So I work in radio, and so, as the WKRP, right, town to town, up and down the dial. So I lived in L.A., that's where I'm from, but I've also lived in no particular order. Let's see here. Colorado Springs, Colorado, Denver, Colorado. I have been in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I was in Richmond, Virginia. I'm certain that I'm missing some place, but now I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. And, and oftentimes, not all that often, but, I do get calls from some of these, bigger cities inquiring whether or not I'd like to, move away from Nashville. And oftentimes it's one of these, cities that it's a big city. And it's like, ooh, that might be cool to, go work in a bigger city, top 10, whatever. But then I start thinking about actually living in a city like, yeah, I'm going to name a few cities, and these are not the cities I've been called from, but like a San Francisco, a Philadelphia, cities like that. And I'm thinking it'd be nice to be in a top 10 market, but or big city. But do I really want to live in a place like that? And the answer to that question is no. Because these are just, I mean, you heard, Mark and Tony and some of these folks that are just telling us, and I know what it's like to live in those cities. And the problem, and I've had to go back a few times over the years to Los Angeles. My mom actually lived in Orange County. And so the last time that I went out there, unfortunately, it was to bury her. I agree with everyone that is called. I mean, it is just horrible. And she lived in Costa Mesa. And don't get me wrong, there's some very, very nice places. But there is a lot of terrible in Los Angeles as well. And I do understand that, it's the perils of a bigger city. But I got to tell you that you heard, I think that last call was at Mark. I think Mark was talking about how you go down there, you walk into these homes, and they haven't been updated or anything like that. And for people who haven't been to Los Angeles, and I can say this because, L.A. for me is back home, but you drive around and you've got these homes that, and you folks listening in Los Angeles, you know this, there are homes that are just terrible homes, not updated. They're small, terrible school district and so forth. And these homes are like $700,000, $800,000, for like a 12 or 1,300 square foot house. It's awful. And then it's like, okay, well then look at what I have in the suburbs of Nashville, and half that, and I can get a far bigger, nicer house. And it's just so you ask people like the folks that have called, why in the world do you stay? And I feel bad for people. I do feel bad for people who say, the one lady that called, I think it was Julie from Illinois, and she's taking care of her mother. And you know what? Part of me, I guess, feels bad for leaving my mom in Los Angeles, but I had my own life to live, and my brother moved away as well. And, my mom had reasons why she wanted to stay. But at the time of her passing, she was actually getting ready to come live with either me or my brother, because she, as somebody who had been in L.A. for, I think, 50 or so years, she talked about how much it had changed. So it is kind of sad that a once great city, thanks to, of course, Democrat rule, Democrat policies, have destroyed that state. And it's really gotten bad. I mean, of course, California, Ronald Reagan was the governor many, many years ago, and he's the one that granted amnesty to all of those illegal aliens. And, so I understand that Republicans have had their hand in, some of these things as well. But, for the last, I don't know when the last time California had Schwarzenegger was a Republican, right? But really, truly, the rule of Gavin Newsom has brought L.A. to its knees and California to its knees as well. And yet he thinks that he's going to be able to run for president of the United States. That's going to be really, really interesting. All right, moving on. Scott Jennings, I'm going to keep playing this, I think, till people are tired of hearing it. But he said this the other day.
If I can't trust you not to put a boy in a teenage girl's locker room, how will I ever listen to your plan for taxes and the economy?
Right.
I will not, because I've already concluded you're a lunatic.
All right, so I play that because there is this article that I want to share the rest of. The headline is, "Don't count on a blue wave in the midterms. Most Americans say Democrats are weak." And it is an opinion piece. I read some of this earlier. Ingrid Jacques, Jacqueus from USA Today. And old Ingrid says that most Americans are not impressed with what they're seeing. Democrats continue getting historically low marks among voters. It is hard to see them turning things around by November of 2026. They say that the Democratic Party was in a much better position to take back Congress during President Trump's first term. And it is helpful, they say, to compare where the party is now versus its standing in 2017. I had some Harry Enton audio as well way earlier in the program that spoke about this. But they do say, Ingrid writes, a recent analysis of polling by NBC News, Harry Enton, shows what a pickle Democrats are ahead of next year's midterm elections. They say, of course, in the next year, many things could change for the Democrats and the Republicans. As of now, however, the wave Democrats achieved in 2018, simply put, looks out of reach. As of October 17th of 2017, the Real Clear Politics polling average on the generic congressional ballot showed a 9-point lead by Democrats. And that lead continued over the next year. And Democrats, as you people already know and ultimately know, the Democrats gained 40 seats in the House of Representatives, giving them control of the chamber. That was during Donald Trump's first go-round. This October 17th, things don't look quite so rosy for the Democrats. The same Real Clear Politics average shows the Democrats only up by 1.6 points. By 1.6. So the latest Real Clear average polling shows the Democrats not even up by 2. This same point during Donald Trump's first administration, they were up by 9. Earlier this year, the party scored its lowest positive rating of 27% in the history of NBC News polling. And even though Republicans are not wildly popular either, they continue to outscore Democrats. In 2017, the Democrats had the advantage. Right now, the Republicans have the advantage. And one of the things that I would say is the reason why Republicans have such an advantage is because they are most certainly consolidated, for the most part, with Donald Trump. He is a true leader of strength. And that's why you see the Republican Party, even though, they may be lower in some polling, whatever, but there is a definite leader within the Republican Party, and that is Donald Trump, who is, really working to cultivate and help groom J.D. Vance to be the next president of the United States. There are people out there that are saying there is no flippin' way that a J.D. Vance Marco Rubio ticket would be beatable. There's no way that anyone on the Democrat side would be able to beat a J.D. Vance Marco Rubio ticket. Back to this article. Not only is the party unpopular, but an October CBS News YouGov poll found 64% of those surveyed used the term weak as the top word to describe Democrats. So what is a Democrat to do? Well, the answer, according to Abigail, who wrote this for USA Today, the answer seems to be fight and resist. Act like a bunch of people who have escaped from an insane asylum, which is what we saw during the No Kings protests over the weekend. And so congressional Democratic leaders, she says, are banking. These Democrat leaders are banking on the ongoing government shutdown, now nearing its third week. Today is day 21, will make them look tough and strong. Isn't that insane? So even when the Democrats are trying to look strong, the only thing that they look is weak and insane. 866-90-RED-EYE. We'll return next on Red Eye Radio.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
Red Eye Radio, 866-90-RED-EYE is the phone number, 866-907-3339. My name is Dan Mandis. You can follow me on the socials. I'm on Instagram, I'm on X, I'm on Facebook, at Dan Mandis Show. I host a morning show in Nashville, Tennessee on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, which is going to start here in a little bit. And if you want to tune into that, you can. You can find us on YouTube if you're the type that likes to watch radio shows. I don't understand it, but people love it. Find us on YouTube. Find us on Facebook. Find us on X. Just go and search Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Real quickly, because we're talking about how the Democrats, it looks like their opportunity for some sort of a blue wave in the midterm elections is not going to happen. Well, they also say that in this polling that the Democrats are really going to shoulder the blame for the government shutdown now in day 21.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.